that gym, that environment, that story is exactly the reason why I founded Elite FTS when I did.
Diamond Gym was a important.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yes. So I had heard about it when I would go to bodybuilding shows through high school. You'd see the guys from Diamond Gym were winning everything, everything. One of the magazines did an article on them. I don't know if it was, I think it was Flex, and it was called like Kemper's Kids. John Kemper was the owner. John Kemper was a bodybuilder in the 60s, 70s, 80s. And it was not close. It was about a 30-minute drive. So when I don't have a license, it's wherever mom and dad could take me to these local gyms 5 minutes away. When I got my license, I'm middle of high school, then I'm done with wrestling. And I'm like, find out about Diamond Gym because one of the guys that I used to train with left to go to Diamond Gym. I was like, oh, this might be the end of like the intensity here. So my dad had his company not far from there because it was in a low income area where the warehouse, like the taxes and everything were down. So I had to get directions on paper. You would call the local police department. Calls the police department, says my son wants to go to Diamond Gym. Can you give me directions from the Parkway? He gives me the directions, and I knew Diamond Gym opened at 5 a.m. So I'm like, I'm going to be first. I'm going to go there first. And it was December of 1993, maybe November. And so I'm a freshman in college. I get I can't fall asleep the night before. I'm so fucking hyped up to go to this gym. I'm going to be there first. I set my alarm for like 3:15 a.m. I'm going to leave at 4:15 to get there early. I can't find the place because they don't have a sign. It was an old bank and I don't know where the hell I'm going. So I would go all the way up the Parkway. I can't find it. I'd have to reverse the entire direction. I couldn't like navigate. And the neighboring town is like one of the like murder capitals. It's Irvington. It's fucking bad. And I'm like, can't go through here. I go all the way back to the Parkway, reverse it around. I'm going back and forth, back and forth. I get there a little after 5 a.m. I see some big guys walking in and out, big guys that you could just see. I find a parking spot and I'm like, all right, I'm going to be one of the first guys here. And I park in the back and I'm walking down the hill and I hear the music going through the wall. Like, I was like, oh, sounds like people got it going already. And I'm thinking people are in there warming up. I go and I open the door and it's like the heat hits me. The music is fucking blasting. And everywhere you look is people working. Now, this is a converted bank. So you walk in, it's the lobby. You walk to your right, it's like more office. You walk to your left, another office. The vault, it was an old bank. I remember seeing a guy, cut off flannels, jeans, work boots, like the Barbarian Brothers. Everybody covered in sweat. Nobody looked like they just got there. People were covered in sweat. Like they had been there at least 30, 35, 40 minutes. And I was like, holy shit. And the other thing too is like, it didn't bother me that I'm going to a gym where there's barely any white people. It didn't bother me. To me, I had learned that a real gym don't care about the color of your skin. As you and I were saying, we wanted to like earn our respect by working. So I knew that that's what these serious gyms were about. So I take like a little walk through. Nobody acknowledges me. And it was like the beginning of me understanding like, if I want to be acknowledged here, I'm starting over. I need to show the work. And so I trained, and a week later I turned 18. And so for my birthday, I got a 3-month membership to Diamond Gym. And then that summer I did the bodybuilding show in Israel. And then I went back to Dynamic Fitness and I ran into my old buddy, Andy. And Andy sees me. He's like, dude, I'm impressed. I was like, yeah, I think I want to do a bodybuilding show next year. And I mentioned the bodybuilding show. He's like, no, do the Mr. New Jersey with me. He's like, I'm going to do the Mr. New Jersey and I'm going to then get ready for nationals. I was like, all right, give me till tonight. I'm going to go home and I'm going to ask my mom if she could cook 6 meals a day. So I go home and I tell her, I'm going to do this bodybuilding show in April. That's when the Jersey was. And so we're like 6 months out. It's the fall. It's like October, around Halloween. I say, if you think you're going to get tired of making meals, or you're going to be a month into making all these meals and you can't do it, I can't do this. If you say no, I'm okay with you saying no. But if you say yes, I need you to cook for me all the way through. My mom says, I'll cook all these meals. And we never went out to eat, by the way. So my mom was used to making chicken and rice and the 8 egg whites and oatmeal for breakfast. I call Andy. I say, Andy, I'm in. I could do it. He's like, let's fucking go. And Andy, typical like guy prepping for pro bodybuilding, no job, no car, no nothing. So I have to quit my job. I was working at GNC. I'm going to college. And my parents were giving me gas money. I'd pick up Andy, and we trained at this gym, and I took pride, like you said. I took so much pride in being there. And my legs were pretty strong. My upper body wasn't that strong. And there was a couple pro bodybuilders in this gym, very small gym. Everywhere you looked, guys were massive. The unspoken law of the place was work. And the music was very loud, to the point that it was hard to have a conversation with people. And I had read years later, didn't even know it, John Kemper said he made it loud to distract people from having conversations. And there was no radio. Back then, people played the radio. Every 5 songs is a commercial. You're about to squat. Fucking commercial comes on for like a TV, or you're about to squat and, you know, some like love song comes on. This place was always pumping with music. And it was interesting. A lot of those guys were like bouncers in New York City, or they were like, the music was like New York City club music. And there was also like guys that were DJs in strip clubs. So it was like all this like crazy house music, but loud. And in my first or second week there, we did a leg workout. And I remember the back room, I think, was like the vault. It was the old vault. And one of the pro bodybuilders in there, he's not alive anymore, Derek Whitsitt must have been looking at me. And so at the end of the workout, we're at the front desk, and somebody's talking, and he interrupts everybody. He goes, my man's got a good squat. That's what he says. And right there, I was like, now I'm going to work even harder, because the top pro bodybuilder in this gym I saw me putting in the work. And as you recall, Dave, in those years, you know, what was a good leg workout? If you could walk up the stairs, you did not work. This place was just the right size where everybody was working. And the way that they trained was very much like power bodybuilding, because John, the owner, started bodybuilding in the 60s. He brought that to Diamond Gym. Everywhere around was like, it reminded me of Lehigh. So you got all those old wrestlers. This was bodybuilders. And the only bodybuilders on that wall were like guys who trained there. Some of them, I think you would remember the name Nick Lavatola, who was a teen bodybuilder and powerlifter.
No, a great powerlifter.
Yep. So he trained there as a teenager. There's like a photo of him doing a double bicep shot. And I remember the guy that did my nutrition. He's all, you know, and look, you and I, we go through these extremes. That guy who did my nutrition, he's no longer alive. It was an extreme place. And I remember him saying, look at Nicky up there. He's looking to the gods. He's looking to the iron gods, he told me. And I trained at Diamond Gym. Basically, I trained there for 3 months, my freshman year of college. Then I joined the fall of 1994, competed in the spring of 95, and I stayed there until graduate school. And that was like 2001 or 02. And I would train there alone. I had training. I remember actually essentially like breaking off from my training partners because I'd be waiting outside for them. I told them, like, if you can't be on time, if you can't do this with me, I'm going to go alone. It was like breaking up with your first love. It was a heartbreaker. And I learned as I got on my own how to train. You know, being, you know, natural was hard training with the guys that weren't. And I remember about like a few months into the bodybuilding show, I like said to one of the guys, I was like, man, I think this shit's burning me out. He's like, what do you fucking want from me? He's like, I'm training to be a pro bodybuilder. He's like, you're going to fucking train with me or you're not. Yeah. He's like, I don't care that you chose to do natural. I'm choosing what I'm choosing to do. And about like 2 months out from the bodybuilding show, I really clicked. Like I became like so close to the competition that I was like, I remember John Kemper, I told him that at the desk. I was like, I don't feel tired anymore. I'm like, I want to win so bad. He's like, that's a good attitude. And so him just giving me that little compliment was important. Bigger guys, bodybuilders who are 250, 275 ripped, saying, yeah, that's a good squat. Like that made me go further. When I started training on my own, I came across Dorian Yates's training book. He did a 4-way split. He trained every other day, but he took 2 days off after legs. I started training like that on my own. Nobody to give me forced reps unless I had a spotter. And one day I'm talking with John and Jason Arntz. Jason Arntz was a pro bodybuilder. And I said, guys, like I'm stuck at like 200 pounds, 198. I just can't like get bigger. And they're like, well, what fats are you eating? I'm like, fats? I'm like, I don't have a 6-pack. They're like, that's why. So they said, what do you eat when you're like, leave? So I'm like, well, I leave the gym and then I go home. I have a protein shake. He's like, what do you have for breakfast? I'm having 8 egg whites. He's like, no more. He's like, you're going to have 8 eggs, 4 yolk, 4 whites. He's like, when you're done training, you're going to have your protein shake here. You're not going to wait till you go home 30 minutes away. He's like, when you get home, I want you to have 2 spoons of peanut butter and I want you to eat a steak. I was eating chicken and rice and egg whites. He's like, you're going to eat a steak. So John and Jason start kind of teaching me how to eat with this like higher fat, higher protein, like power bodybuilders, right? Then they go, like, how many salads do you eat? I'm like, nothing. He's like, where's your sodium? This is all the shit that's like groundbreaking today, right?
Oh, yeah.
They're telling this to me in the 90s. They're like, where's your sodium? I'm like, salt, no good. They're like, you're going to start salting your food. And so I went from like 198 to 200 to like 208 within 2 weeks. And the pump and the strength finally took off. I finally started benching 315. The pump was crazy. And I trained every other day, 2 days off after legs. So I started like learning my own kind of method of resting a little bit more, not doing all the forced reps and the drop sets. And I remember Andy threw up doing a shoulder workout. So I'd be like, don't sit down, get the fuck. Like it was just so crazy. And when I had to leave Diamond Gym, so it must have been, I'm in grad school, 01, 02. I'm driving there and I hit traffic up in that central North Jersey area, everybody working. And I'm in so much traffic, I'm not going to get there. I'm thinking about the graduate project, the research I have to do. I like navigate, I get off the exit. Then I have to turn around. I'm in more traffic. I didn't even train that day, but it was like a 4-hour ordeal. I'm stressed out of my mind. And I'm like, oh my God, I think I'm not going to be able to go back because I'm working full time. I am in graduate school. I'm coaching middle school wrestling. And that's when I started putting equipment in my dad's garage. But the atmosphere about Diamond Gym taught me everything. That music, the work ethic, the camaraderie. When I would be done training, I'd sit out front. Guys would be eating and they'd share training methods. They'd tell you how to eat. Everything was like sharing, talking about the training. I wanted to bring that element to a strength and conditioning facility. And that's where that old equipment really inspired me, because Diamond Gym had stuff that like was welded together. There was a T-bar row kind of like drilled into the wall and there was like wooden blocks underneath it. They had like a pull-up tower that was just, you could see that it was welded together. And being there always made me want to work. I remember picking up my 2 training partners as we were preparing for the bodybuilding show, and there was like a dead energy in the car. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, like this workout might be bad. Like nobody's talking. There's nothing going on. I remember I had a special stereo in my car to blast the music. I had a Kenwood. Okay. I had a playlist that I made on a cassette tape. Nothing. Crickets. I was like, oh my God, I think today might not be a good workout. Rick ain't talking. Andy looks like he's asleep. Park. We open the door, and then that heat, like right when you walk in, there was like a seated chest press machine, but somebody had like a bar inside of it. It was like, boom, you saw his like arms. You walked in and you're immediately hit with work and people that were jacked. And when we walked in, everybody forgot that they were tired. Nothing was said. I didn't want to ask, should we go light today? Are we having I didn't want to ask. I was just hoping to the iron gods that it would be like it would work. And so that place, to me, it taught me just like the work ethic, the strength. I mean, there was a guy, a Mr. New Jersey in there. I remember they interviewed him. They're like, describe your training. He's like, I lift heavy, barbells, free weights. And then I remember the end, he's like, so basically like it's heavy or not at all. And that's when I actually started getting strong, training at Diamond Gym, seeing guys bodybuilders doing rack pulls with 6 plates. Okay. People squatting 5 plates. I saw a woman bench press 3 plates. You'd constantly see bodybuilders incline benching 3, 4 plates. Dumbbells. I have a photo of it. I think they go up to 200 or 180. They're on like the ground. I used to see a guy dumbbell benching them, and there were no rules. Whereas the gyms I went to before, don't wear work boots, no chalk, don't do this, don't do that. And then when I read that article later, John said he allows the guys to park their motorcycles out front. So it's like the Wild West where the cowboys park their horses. He's like, I don't have any rules because training is an art form. And if I try to tell them how to do it, it ruins their art form. And that really shaped how I built what I built, that place, spending 9 years there. And so it's, of course, now there's more hardcore places, and supposedly when I got there was at the end of hardcore. They said the 80s with like Nick Lavatola and guys that everybody was just savages, like, people. That gym was this little gym. And that could happen in a college, right? You could have this little program that starts dominating if the culture and the environment. Dagestan, I think, has like the most like Olympic place winners in wrestling, yet they have like the least population of people.
Yeah, that gym, that environment, that story is exactly the reason why I founded Elite FTS when I did, because those gyms, those stories, those type of people is what I grow up with since 12 until all the way to now, until Westside. And when I look back on that, yeah, I paid gym dues, but I paid nothing else. It was all passed on.
Yes.
So that's where the live, learn, pass on was founded on. And that's where it came from, because that culture, those values, that drive, that experience that you're talking about is something that I feel needs to be passed on, because I owe it to those people that gave it to me.
Agreed.
And so that's why I do basically everything that I do, so that trickles down, and continues. And in the 25 years I've been in business, probably one of the most disheartening things that I've seen is that fracture, because everybody has to fucking monetize. So now those kids can't go into a gym and have an experience like that unless they're fucking paying somebody.
Which is interesting, because if somebody says, if a dad was ever like, hey, I can't afford this, I say, well, then it's free. But what's happened is like when it's free, they're not like, it's interesting with that lack of skin in the game. And it happened during COVID. People reached out and said, hey, I lost my job. Some people said, hey, I got a pay decrease. I don't think I could train. And then I'm so tempted to say, yeah, I also got a pay decrease. I was shut down.
No.
But I just said, then it's free. And that's also why I think having the online business, I don't do it because I'm like, oh, I want to impact more people. It allows me to make money in another way.
Yeah.
If I could help somebody. And like, I think it's because we just know that the training, it could save somebody's life. And it's like,
I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, one thing that I've learned, especially in the last few years, is Complementary content is seen as no value.
It's heartbreaking.
It is. It is. I've learned that, but not to everybody,
Correct.
right? So to the 5-10% of the people that see value in it, they're the reason why I'm still in business. The other 95% that don't see value in it is the reason why I'm not 1,000 times bigger than what I am.
Yeah.
So it's a balance, and it changes.
It's heartbreaking to hear it because we said this earlier, like, do people read articles? Only the diehards, right? I need to see a video. I need to swipe through. I love reading because I could get lost in it. I could kind of like imagine what's going on. I don't know. I just take it deeper. But then I'm like, am I the only one that's like,
I don't know, because
Yeah.
I still think it's a small percentage, and it was a small percentage back then.